masculine, then Sheva, let's try to get a pen that writes here. Sheva already will be the number 7 as far as modifying that which is a masculine word, no, feminine word. Shiva will be masculine, Sheva would be feminine.
Because you have Shiva and then you have Sheva Baracha, the 7 days.
Notice how I said that word. I said Sheva. I didn't even hesitate. I said Sheva. The reason why I said Sheva, Yirmiyahu should be able to tell me this, is I've got a short vowel, a syllable, and you know what that is, Chazak in the next letter, in the next letter. So a short vowel, open syllable is built normally. It is not normal, it's not regular, and so it's the accent. It's Sheva, not Sheva. Sheva.
And words are usually accented on the last accent in Hebrew? No?
If Israelis will say Sheva, they won't say Sheva. Again, the reason is short vowel open syllable needs to be accented. Normally a short vowel, as in the case of Shiva, you see that chirik there is part of a closed syllable based on the principle a shva under a letter which follows a short vowel, you treat it as a shvana. So Shiva.
Just a quick question. What this here? That's
That's
not
a
the
shiv.
accent. Oh, that's not okay. That's why you're gonna shiv because of that.
Yeah, the shin is that way and the sin is that way. Okay, I guess why Yirmiyahu asked that question is I normally, when I write the shin on the board, I don't bother to put the mark on the shin. Why so? Because 9.5 times out of 10, when you see a marker like that, it is a shin. It is rare when you see a sin. And if you do see a sin, then make the attempt to show it is a sin. Otherwise, people just assume it's the shin letter that you're writing. All right, good observation. Anyway, in the case of Shiva, you'll notice how I'm saying it. I have a CVC here. The shin, the chirik, closed by the shvanach, underneath the second letter. And the last syllable is CV. And again, the last letter, hey, unless there's a vowel that follows it, is treated as a vowel marker. So you put a C in brackets. It's not a real constant. It is a vowel marker. Now, why the word Shiva? The word Shiva is modifying the word day. The Hebrew word for day is Yom. Yom is the word for day. And Yamim is the word for days. Yamim, the word for days. Yamim. What about it? 1 minute, I misspelled that word on the board.
Yamim.
I get a little confused here. Where's my board eraser? I guess I got one over here. The word Yamim, Yamim. And that's another problem right now. I'll tell you that in a second. The word Yamim, Yamim is the word for days. The singular is the word Yom. The plural is the word Yamim. And then before I go any further, let me tell you what the problem is. There's another word in Hebrew called Yam. Yam is the Hebrew word for sea. S-E-A. Sea, Yam. And perhaps the most debated Yam in the whole history of the biblical tradition is that particular Yam that the Israelites and Moses crossed back in the day, known in Hebrew as the Yam Suf. The Hebrew term is Yam Suf. Yam Suf. As far as your English Bibles are concerned, almost all of them, until recently, translated the word Yam Suf as the Red Sea. Moses and the children of Israel going through the divided Red Sea, and that's how they reached the Promised Land, etc., etc., etc. Now we have a better translation. The word Suf does not mean red, R-E-D. It means a reed, R-E-E-D. So now you have your translations of the Bible of a Yam Suf to be a sea of reeds rather than Red Sea. And the reason given is just using simple logic. If it truly was the Red Sea, then the body of water is so high up you'll drown in it. If it was a sea of reeds, it's maybe knee high, so possibly or head high, whatever, but you're probably able to walk through it. And that's basically the argument that's being used here. In addition to that, you also have a reference regarding Moses. if I have time, I'll find it for you, where you find Moses being drawn from a body of water, and consequently the name that Moses gets, drawn from the sea as it is. And the body of water that Moses is drawn from has the word Suf in it. And consequently, he's drawn from a body of seeds, seed water, and basically raised in the house of the Pharaoh, and so, etc. Let me get my other glasses. I can't see this one. Just bear with me. It's good to see everything. All of this little introduction to today's last class is not at all prepared by me, so keep in mind I'm working from memory. No, I don't need that.
Oh, no, this is for your screen on your phone.
No, let me just work with my
Oh,
glasses.
okay.
Let me just work with the glasses.
All right.
I hope I'm not we should have them. I had a regular, sea glasses, and somehow I misplaced them or lost them. I don't know what happened to them. So I got other glasses with days going by. Let me see if I can see better in that verse. And you can believe it, the glasses. Okay, so it's not gonna help me at all. Oh,
Okay, go ahead.
okay.
Want to try for a second?
Could you put it in here?
Yeah, try.
Okay. Okay, Baruch, you're all right. Meanwhile, the rest of you just relax a little bit. If I'm able to see a little bit, I'll be able to find that verse. Anyway, it's found in Exodus chapters 2 and 3 probably, where you have the picking up of that child from the body of water, and basically you have that word suf that's found there. Just bear with me a few moments.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the verse. Okay, people, it's found in Exodus chapter 2. My friend Baruch is okay. He's a real servant. He's a real servant, not meaning slave, but one that basically knows what he's doing, and I appreciate it. I'm waiting for those glasses. Okay, thank you very much. Yirmiyahu basically would know something else. If you serve in the military, you wear glasses, you got a problem. That doesn't give you an excuse not to serve in the front and stuff of that nature. And regarding the military and glasses, your professor, when he was 17 years old or 18, I registered for the American draft in Israel. My family was living in Israel already. And I mentioned to that consulate in Jerusalem, we had a consulate office, not an embassy in Jerusalem. I said I wear glasses. And that woman looked at me and said, so what? I said, I wear glasses, how can I serve? She said, what? And before you knew it, I had a problem. I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I thought if you wore glasses, you didn't have to serve or sign up. All right, people, the sentence I'm looking at is found in Exodus chapter 2, sentence number 3 is where you find it, in which the English has the following: and when she could no longer hide him, she took him, meaning the baby Moses, in an ark of bulrushes, and dabbed it with slime and with pitch, and she put the child therein and laid it in the flags by the river's brink. This was trying to hide Moses, and eventually found by the daughter of Pharaoh and raised in the court of Pharaoh, and that's all you got to know about that. But the very word that is used here, that she places him in the bulrushes, Vatasem Basuf. Moses is placed in the suf. Suf. That's the phrase for bulrushes. The crossing of the Yam Suf, the crossing of the Sea of Red, probably not. The crossing of the Sea of bulrushes, and that would make it more rational how a tribe of 600,000 Israelites, and not including the Gentiles who hang on to them, crossed this divided sea. So that's what you have here between reading the Torah literally and starting to interpret the Torah and coming up with different interpretations, etc. For our purposes in Hebrew grammar, the word Yom, notice that word Yom, how I spell it. Notice the word Yom, how that's spelled. The plural of the word Yom is spelled this way, Yamim, and the plural of the word Yom is spelled this way, Yamim. Both words sound exactly the same. Yamim with a patach, dagesh chazak in the mem, is the word for sea, S-E-A-S. where Yamim spelled with a mim or kamatz is the plural of the word days. There's that phone ringing, just let it ring and let it ring. I'm not quite sure who's trying to call me at this moment except the scam artist. Okay, so anyway, getting back to Baruch. Baruch basically came and greeted me this morning by hearing a phrase at a shiva. A shiva is the number 7. It's an abbreviated way of saying Shiva Yamim, 7 days. Judaism has a ritual of absolute mourning, quote unquote, to those who are obligated to mourn, which means the death of a parent, the death of a sibling, the death of a child, is when you have the requirement of what's called the Shiva period, which things are done for the mourner, rather than the mourner doing things on his own or her own, etc. And it's called the Shiva period, the period of the 7 days. The 7 days is interrupted only with a Shabbat, if that's involved, it has to be. One of the 7 days will be a Saturday, or a major holiday can also interrupt the Shiva period. So why am I bringing all this to your attention? And Baruch asked me, he heard the following phrase. I couldn't understand what he was saying exactly, and I repeated to him, did you hear the word ro'eh? He said, I think it's that word ro'eh, which brings us back to our Hebrew class. It just happens to be a coincidence that the word ro'eh belongs to a Lamed Hey family. It also can be seen as Ayin Aleph, second word letter is an Aleph, and a Lamed Hey. But for our purposes right now, the Reish Aleph Hey belongs to the same family as Ayin Sen Hey, as, what else do we have there? The Reish Sadi Hey, I believe we had, and a few other verbs. In other words, verbs that end with the Hey will have a similar conjugation, at least because of the Lamed Hey. If there are laryngeal letters involved, you identify the verb by the laryngeal as well. So this is an Ayin Aleph Lamed Hey, this is a Pei Ayin Lamed Hey, and this is strictly a Lamed Hey. And so if you know your conjugation of a Lamed Hey, Aniyat Tahu Rotzeh, Aniyat Hi Rotzah, Rotzim Rotzot, then the word ro'eh is masculine singular, and the verb means to see, S-E-E. And ain't that interesting? This is not planned. I started with the word yam, see, S-E-A. I'm using the verb see, S-E-E. Do you understand? These words all sound the same. Yam, yamim, yamim. Which yamim do you have in mind? Is it with the word sees, or is it the word days? I can't tell where you say the word yamim. I got to see it spelled out. And the difficulty is you're beyond confining your knowledge is that Hebrews are spelled with vowels. Now what are you going to do about it? Do you realize how legal this could be? I didn't say those words, but we heard you say it. Excuse me? I said yamim, I meant days. I didn't say yamim being seas. And you want a classic example of that? The classic example deals with the first murder in history. The first murder, according to the Torah, is Cain and Abel. Where brother Cain knocks off his brother Abel, I guess, and that's the story there. That's found in Genesis chapter 4. I remember those verses very well. In which he basically says to Cain, of course, Hashomer Achi Anochi, am I my brother's keeper? I'm looking at sentence number 8. I'm looking at sentence number 9. I'm looking at Sefer Bereshit, the book of Genesis, chapter 4, in which basically God says, where's your brother? Where's your brother Abel? Vayomer lo yadati, and Cain responds, I don't know. And then Hashomer Achi Anochi, Hashomer Achi Anochi. Let me write out that phrase as you write out that word today. I'll just show you how difficult Hebrew is. I'm reading a printed Hebrew Bible. The printed Hebrew Bible has the following way of saying it. That's it without vowels. The word Achi means my brother. The word Anochi is another word for Ani Ar. It's that very first letter. Is it vocalized with Achata? Is it vocalized with a patak, and therefore dagesh chazak in the shin? And what about the midah cholam? That should be there, where you conjugate a regular verb. It's shomer, shomer, shorim, that cholam malay is found. In the case of the Torah, you don't have a full cholam. All you have is shin mem resh. Do you see what happens? How come I know how to read it as shomer? Because I train myself to read the unvocalized Torah by a printed Hebrew Bible. And the printed Hebrew Bible shows me the sound that I have to say. But watch the way I'm going to say it. Hashomer achi anochi, Hashomer achi anochi. I have 4 men sitting in this classroom. Hashomer achi anochi, Hashomer achi anochi. What's the difference between the 2 ways in which I declare that phrase? Hashomer achi anochi, Hashomer achi anochi. Can any one of you detect that difference?
You're speed reading. You're saying it faster the second time.
Ellie, a little louder.
Saying it faster the second time.
Saying what?
You're saying the sentence faster the second time.
I think you're saying something I need to hear, but I don't hear it well.
You're saying it faster.
I'm
the
saying it
second
fast.
time.
Oh, is that so?
The
I'll
second
say
time.
both of them fast. Hashomer achi. No, let me go slow. Hashomer achi anochi, Hashomer achi anochi. Interesting. You don't hear me raising.
Yeah.
Raising what?
I mean, one sounds like a question.
That's just that. Stop
Yeah.
right there. One is a question.
Yeah.
Hashomer achi anochi, Hashomer achi anochi. Unvocalized Hebrew, I don't know whether I'm saying what's called a hey shelah. Let me get that phrase down. You know the hey is a definite article. That's all you've been taught so far. The hey hayediyah, hayediyah. Let's get down the spelling of it. Hayediyah. The hey hayediyah. And that letter hey already, I'm gonna put it in brackets like this. But somehow if I put the hey like this, it looks like an abbreviation of the word Hashem. There's another problem. I don't know how to abbreviate anymore to board. I get it confused with the other way of abbreviating it. You should see what happens. You have an abbreviation. It can be read one way, it can be read another way. What you don't know is this. The so-called hey hayediyah. The word yediyah comes from the Hebrew word to know. And not just simply to know, but to know intimately. That's the terminology we use for the definite article. Something that's definite is something very specific, like the woman that just walked into this classroom. Not a woman, not a human being, not a wise guy, not a wise woman, not this or not that. Now that you left up your exposure. Anyway, the word yediyah is true knowledge. So the woman walked in. It's not just any woman. It's a specific woman. That's what's meant by a definite article. Otherwise, it would be a woman walked in, any woman walked in, not just a specific one. But there's another hey in Hebrew called the hey shelah. The shelah, the word question, shelah. And the hey shelah is pointed as a hey with a patah under it. Without vowels, no, both heys look this, both the definite article and the sign of the question hey look identical. But one has the chata patah and one has the definite, one has the patah.
The definite article is the patach.
Is the patah, followed in the next letter with the dagesh chazak. Now, if I read my Torah, I'm trying to read it now unvocalized, Hashomer, is it Hashomerahi? I am my brother's keeper? Or is Cain asking, Hashomer? What am I, my brother's keeper? As far as the voice of God is concerned, you are your brother's keeper, you fool. But you who are a victim, you who are a victimizer, simply are using the excuse, I'm responsible. Is the individual? And you know that first question that leads to murder. is a question, and to this very day, it gets no answer. You have demonstrations on campuses, what are we responsible? October 7th, is that the date, 2023? Israel is basically a reason for Hamas being attacking you. You understand that's not being used as excuses? That's what happens. You find yourself in some kind of event or incident, you defend your little tush by basically using I'm responsible, or what about I am responsible? If this is one example, Hashomer Anochi versus Hashomer Anochi, then the other example is the famous phrase on the mouth of Rabbi Akiva. His name is his mouth had the following three-letter words: Ata Melech Mashiach. Let me repeat the words again. Ata, you are Melech, King, Mashiach, Messiah. Akiva's words to Bar Kokhba. If Akiva is seen as one of the great rabbis, if not the greatest according to quite a few people, pushing Hillel aside, the fourth Hillel, that's how I'm laughing at your name. And Akiva looked at Bar Kokhba with the sword and said, Atah Melech Mashiach, you are the King Messiah, you are our Redeemer. Or is Akiva saying, Atah Melech Mashiach? Atah Melech? What are you, some wise guy? What are you, the King Messiah? How would you know? The text is not at all punctuated. Do you understand now how difficult it is to read a text and see it as a question, as a declaration, or some other interpretation? I just finished what's called an abstract. I have that obligation. I agreed to do so for a publication called Old Testament Abstracts. Jeremiah, remember when I went down that name. Old Testament Abstracts is a publication of the Roman Catholic Church. It comes out of Johns Hopkins University. They have an editorial board of 5 people, and Ze'ev Garber is one of the 5. I'm the only Jew they have up there. And I agreed to do a number of journals. And the one journal I'm doing is called Biblical Archaeological Review. Its latest issue. It has an article called Put the Bible Back into Archaeology, something like that, in which the particular author brings out an interesting point. He says no matter how much archaeology basically gives you this and that and that and this, the Hebrew Bible itself, whether it's fantasy, reason, imagination, has to be always consulted. And Hebrew as Hebrew is not that easy. You have to investigate the meanings of the words, the usage of the words, how words are applying, and the author of that article has to be correct. And biblical Hebrew is not the same as modern Hebrew. And you're getting a little instinct of what biblical Hebrew is by my class. And already I gave you 2 examples where how do you know how to read it? Hashomer Anochi or Hashomer Anochi? Atah Melech Mashiach or Atah Melech Mashiach? Or Yamim Yamim, which way do you want to go with it? That's the interesting thing. And not only that, people, if you take an ancient manuscript called the Samaritan Pentateuch, it's totally different than our part books. And these pages separated by rooms and were told by the Pharaoh or the king of the day in Alexandria back in the day to start the translation. And you know what that story tells us? They all began at the same time, they all ended at the same time, and all 72 manuscripts look identical. How's that possible? Yirmiyahu would tell you the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, went through every one of the translations. That's how you get out of the difficulty. And as far as Bar Kokhba is concerned, let me get down something that you don't say to anybody unless you have a friend defending you. Do not tell anybody what I'm going to tell you right now unless you know how to defend yourself. Bar Kokhba. First, let's get down his name. Bar, Koch,
Son.
Bar, Koch, Ba are not Hebrew words. Oh, why are you using Hebrew letters? I think the very first day I met with you, the Hebrew language does not have a Hebrew alphabet. It does, but this is not the Hebrew alphabet, this is Aramaic. The word bar is Aramaic, as in bar mitzvah. If it were Hebrew, it would be ben mitzvah, son of. The word kochba is the Hebrew word kochab. Kochab is star. This is Aramaic. You know now a sign of Aramaic. Words ending with that commas aleph. There's a good possibility that the word is not Hebrew in origin, but Aramaic. The son of the star, S-T-A-R. And we Christians know something about a star, the so-called Bethlehem star, the three wise men that come. Do you understand how heaven plays a role in this? Well, Bar Kochba, according to the tradition, it gives us, Akiva's words, Mashiach. There is also a tradition by Akiva who calls Bar Kochba a Ben Kosiva, a Kosiva. Kosiva means one who is a fool, one who is putting the role of something. A deceiver, that's better. A deceiver.
Shetare, shalom.
A deceiver, Sean. If I'm not mistaken, the Bar, the Kosiva word is probably his original name, something like that, Kosiva. Or Kosiva, the way I write it. Do you realize the insult that now comes about from son of star, from the luminary to a deceiver, to a deception? One who deceives, one who misleads. And my fellow Jews, starting next week, you're about to do Alei Kol Chanukah. Are you aware how dangerous Chanukah is? If Chanukah is so religious, Mr. Eli, then why is it not included in the Tanakh? Why are the two books of the Maccabees, there are 4 books, by the way, found in the Christian Bible, found in the Apocrypha? They're not found in the Tanakh.
Of course.
Because the guy called Judah Maccabeus had sword in hand. And just move that now over to what's going on with Israel right now. Should Israel now just walk away from Gaza? Or should Israel have that sword and eliminate the enemy 1,000%? Otherwise, it's going to repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. And for military personnel like Yirmiyahu, understand Hamas's famous argument now. Sure, we lost people, Palestinians, but without that attack against Israel, the world would never give a damn about Palestine. Let me repeat myself. Without that attack of October 7th, 2023, who would give a damn about Palestinians? You see how the argument is turned around? And anywhere you go now, you got to be careful of others, particularly those who oppose it. Refer to Bar Kochba as Bar Kochba, or they refer to as Ben Kosiva. And the question is, Bar Kochba until you lose the battle. And then when you lose the battle, you're no longer Bar Kochba, you're now Ben Kosiva. But if you want to do some Google researching, Ben Kosiva could well have been his normal name, and there's a play upon it to mean deception rather than the militant one that's going to lead us to victory. And as far as the question about the Maccabees, where did the Maccabees get their name? I already told you the sword is one way for them to get victory. You know the story of the oil that burns for 7 days. And if I have the ability, I'll send you my article called The Seventh Dilemma, which deals with the problem of the Hanukkah story, etc. But for our purposes right now, don't get into more Hebrew. Look at Exodus chapter 15. What everybody seems to agree, the scholars that deal archaeology, the rational academics in the classroom, and traditional Jewish scholarship as well, that Exodus chapter 15 is said to be as authentic as can be associated with Moshe Rabbeinu. Moses, if anything that's authentic to what he teaches us, is that chapter called Exodus 15, which is not just Moses, but Oz Yashir Moshe Uvnei Israel. Thus sang Moses and the children of Israel et Ashirah Hazot, this particular song, L'Hashem, to the Lord. And so you have the Oz Yashir paragraph found in Exodus chapter 15. The famous paragraph at the sea, the song at the sea as it's referred to. I have a translation on the bottom called the Hertz Gamash, and Rabbi Hertz, former chief rabbi of England, back in the day, calls this chapter the song at the Red Sea. So back in the 30s and 40s, the Yam Suf was called the Red Sea, up to this day. But the actual association is probably the Sea of Reeds, of bulrushes, rather than the Red Sea. Anyway, there is a verse here, Michamocha Beilim Hashem, who is like you among the gods, O Lord? A sentence number 11, in which we have in the English, who is like unto thee, O Lord, among the mighty? The Hebrew is Michamocha Ba'elim Hashem. Who is like you, Ba'elim, among the El, among the Elim, among the gods, O Lord? The translation of 1917 Jewish Publication Society, who is like you among the mighty? Watch what I'm about to say. The word El is not Hebrew. The word El is borrowed. The word El is now been monotheized to be another name for God. El, Eli, Eli, this type of thing. My God, my God. But in the translation here, using the word El, Elim as gods in the same word as used in the same sense as using the word Lord looks like something hypocritical or something paganistic or something idolatrous. So they translate the word Elim here as mighty rather than the word gods. That's how you get out of it as far as English is concerned. But the Hebrew maintains the word Elim. The Hebrew maintains the ancient terminology used in the notion of other people's gods, Elim. Who can compare among the gods to our Lord? And now let me give you something that should shut you down forever. The God of Israel and Moses was a monolatous God, a singular God for a singular people, as witnessed by Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, Hashem our God, He is one. Do you have any idea what that implies? Other nations have their gods. The Shema is only for Israel. The other nations have gods. And when the singular God of a singular people becomes the God of all, then you have the birth of monotheism. Monotheism did not exist back in the day. Peoples had their gods. Israel was unique and had a singular God. Israel was defeated, and so how do you explain that? Was God defeated by other gods? And that's how the beginning of monotheism. God permitted the other gods to defeat us. Yeah, that's your explanation. Israel is an eye. You take the opening letters of who is like you among the gods, O Lord, or among the mighty if you want, and you have the word Maccabee. So when Yehuda Maccabeus takes that sword in hand, it's basically representing the God of Israel against the gods of the Greeks, against the gods of the Romans, against the gods of the Germans, against the gods of all peoples. Who can be compared to our God? And how are the results shown? By victory in the battlefield. How is the state of Israel going to, homeland we had, as I tell my wife again and again, a portable homeland is the Torah, is the liturgy, is the synagogue. Now you're back in the land, and now look what happens.
When they leave, like in 35 AD? Or the...
That's right. Yeah. The Bar Kokhba of the rebellion is said to have been from 133 to 135, at most, maybe 136, yeah. It was a slaughter, but the Jews at least fought back. That's one thing you have to understand. I think Hillel has never had a problem about that. Jews are not a pacifistic people. The United States Armed Defense Forces. In fact, I don't even know the official name. Is it U.S. Armed Forces?
Can.
Yeah, Armed Forces. I don't know any other country that has the word defense as the official name. Defending means defend. You're being attacked, you defend. Anyway, people, be more optimistic. My wife is very concerned on her end. I understand that, but that's the way people think, and I'm not that caliber. I still am more in the middle of things rather than towards one end. All right, let me get back to our Hebrew. We need to finish the lesson today, and then I'll give you your last assignment orally for next Thursday. I will meet you all next Thursday. I'll try to be here around 11:15. You come between 11:15 and following, and whatever work you want me to look at, please bring it at that time. I thought I would get work before, but I'll wait until you want to bring it in. You have a whole week now. Tuesday of next week we have no classes. You have exams, I'm sure, with other instructors, but you bring in whatever you want me to look at, and things will work out. And then if you don't mind, some of you already have signed up for Hebrew 2. The class will go. I'd like to see everybody return back again, but if you have other commitments, so be it. Try to have others sign up, or you sign up. It will drop you if you can't hear me somewhat.
We were on 66, 67, 68. I think 68.
We did 67, I think, with Shoter, Rotzer. Yeah, we're probably at the bottom.
68, because I got it notated.
68. Okay, so Lamed Hey verb.
Page
Again,
68.
If you have confusion about the Lamed Hey conjugation, what you do is, and you do this type of stuff for your last assignment as well, you have a book in front of you. Open up your book and look at the conjugation of the verb. If this were a regular semester when I taught full-time back in the day, those books would be closed, you'd be taking an exam in the class hour. But it's different now, and so you have that advantage. Anyway, you have your conjugation, you have examples of Lamed Hey verbs, and in addition to, I'm looking at page 66 right now, so the verbs that she has, the verb to drink, the verb to want, the verb to do, you might add that new verb that began today's discussion, the verb to see, Reish Aleph Hey. And it was during the Shabbat period, if I understand Baruch, that somebody said something and possibly said the word ro'eh, the word to see. And again, that word ro'eh. What am I going to do right now? I'm not sure what I'm doing anymore. But that word ro'eh means one that sees, masculine singular. And that same word ro'eh is spelled with an ayin. And unless I get myself into some kind of trouble, my mind again is flickering backwards and forwards. Let me look at the dictionary and let me see if there's a word ro'eh, which I'm almost sure there is, and you'll be shocked to know the meaning of that word. The word ro'eh with an ayin, the word ro'eh with an aleph are both pronounced the same way, ro'eh and ro'eh. But they are two different words by virtue of the fact that one has an ayin and one has an aleph. The aleph one is the word to see, S-E-E, not see in the sense of a body of water, which is S-E-A. And the ro'eh with an ayin, where are you, ro'eh with an ayin? The word ro'eh with an ayin, sure, there's that word, is translated as a shepherd. A shepherd, as if I didn't know that. That ro'eh. How would you know I'm not saying I am a shepherd versus I am seeing? You would not. If I had a more complete sense, ha-ro'eh, ro'eh, then maybe I could think Haroeh
Not
is
all
the shepherd, and Roeh is the seed.
לעשות.
But my dear young students of Hebrew, you're not going to end your Hebrew lesson with a verb. If you do, you're not going to make it upstairs. Let me make this very clear to you. In our Jewish tradition, we have a thing called Yeshiva Shalmata. You better learn the Yeshiva Shalmata, some basics. Otherwise, you're not going to go far in the Yeshiva Shalmata. Ma'ala means upstairs. If I say Haroeh, right away, I'm using a definite article. I cannot use the word ha in front of roeh, the verb to see. So haroeh, roeh, the shepherd sees. It's just phenomenal that the ayin and aleph letters sound the same. Back in the day, I'm sure the speaker made a distinction between the ayin and the aleph. So you didn't have to see that the problem between all the lines. They had a distinction in how they said the letters. We don't have that anymore. I know that word roeh very well, but I thought I could demonstrate by just using a dictionary first, and sure enough, he has the right spelling. Okay, back to our Hebrew right now. As I'm looking at this next again, the words we're going to pick up with, again, I guess it's the word roeh. Is that where we left off? Yeah. I'll tell you what. Let's pick up with Rivka Shota.
That's exactly where we left off.
I think we did that one already.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. Okay, I'm looking now at the bottom page 68, and why don't we have Hannah? Why don't you read first, Hannah? The bottom page 68. Read what you see, and then every one of you is going to read another sentence.
So
Go,
three,
Hannah.
the bottom one, 3B2, 4?
Bottom page 68, Ma Adrotsa.
Oh, okay.
Okay, 1 second. Are you all with me?
Okay.
She's reading. Okay. Ma'at rotsa. Notice the word rotsa. How do I know it's not rotzeh? You don't know. If you see the subject, that's what gives it away. The at is the second person, feminine singular, subject pronoun you. So the at is feminine, rotsa is the verb. Go ahead. Okay. All right. Watch what I'm about to do now. The fact that you read it, Hannah, as ma'at rotsa, then the at one is behind the ani. Ani by itself would either be rotzeh or be rotsa. But since a woman is asked, what do you want to do? She responds, I, and she would not say ani rotzeh, she would say ani rotsa. So read it as ani rotsa.
Yes, אני רוצה ללכת לאוניברסיטה.
Okay, very good. אני רוצה ללכת, I want to go. And look at the infinitive of that word, ללכת, ללכת, ללכת. Notice how I'm pronouncing it. ללכת, the sego on the aleph is a short vowel open syllable. How do I know that? I go back in my chart on page 64. I see the 4 forms of the verb to walk or to go in the present tense, so forth. And I notice the infinitive, the string, la'lechet. The A drops out completely. The vocalization is 2 segos on the lamed and the chaf, and then you add a taf to it. That's an unusual infinitive. How would I know that? You don't. That's where the text helps you out. Okay, Baruch, the next one.
Okay. Ma Uri. And it
Here's
was
the same question wants to do.
okay. Ma Uri halochet. Holochet.
First read the question. Ma Uri, what does Uri want to do?
Oh, okay. Ma Uri. What the? Okay, Ma Uri. And then 64. Or it needs. That's Rotse or
That's right, Rotzeh.
Ma Uri Rotse.
Rotzeh, to do. To do now. You're missing the infinitive.
Oh, ma. So ma Uri. What's that?
That's Rotzeh, but what about the verb to do?
I don't know.
The sentence begins with ma'at rotzah. What do you want?
Uri. רוצה ללחות כנראה.
No.
I still the same sentence. Okay. go
What
on.
does Uri want to do? Translate that word to do.
I don't know what רוצה is רוצה to do.
Rose is wants, and then lasot to do. La'asot.
לעשות.
All right, Baruch is a little confused right
Yeah.
now. Everybody, go back to sentence number 1. Ma'at rotzah. This is the
Ma'at
example
rotzah.
that the dugma that Edna is giving us. Ma'at rotzah lasot, and the response is ani rotzah lalech l'universitah. Sentence number 2 is ma'uri, and then you fill in the verb want to do. Ma'uri rotzeh, and then you say to do. How do you say to do, Baruch? Lasot.
לעשות. אורי לעשות.
Okay, I think you have to get used to that word. Lasot means to do. And then your response is Uri wants to go to the concert. Say, read now your Hebrew. Uri
אורי לעשות.
Uri wants, first the verb wants. Uri,
רוצה?
that's right.
Oh, okay. אורי רוצה ללכת כנרצות.
No, since it fills in the word for you, so it's Uri Rotzel Alechet, like concert.
Okay. אורי רוצה ללכת לקונצרט.
Okay, take the next one, Baruch, and see if you get some redemption.
מה רבקה ורון, okay, I had to look at ורון, רוצים.
That's it. Rotzim to what? Read the next word. There's a word.
67. Okay, so רוצים to him, so they.
Ma, Rivka, Veron, Rotzim. Oh, I just gave it to you. What do Rivka and Ron want to do, want to study? That's what.
מה רבקה ורון רוצים ללמוד?
That's right. And then your response is?
הם רוצים?
That's right.
רוצים ללמד סופות.
Does it say Lilamed?
ללמד? I don't know.
Lilmod.
ללמוד שופות.
And what does that mean? Hem Rotzim Lilmod Safot.
I don't know.
What does Rotzim mean?
Want.
Okay, so Rotzim is the plural. They want. And Lilmod, that's what you're doing in this classroom.
Learning.
You are studying.
Studying.
Hem Rotzim Lilmod.
Sofot.
That's right.
Languages.
They want to learn what?
Languages.
That's right. All
Shofar.
right, let me back up with everybody right now. That word lomod, you've got to understand what's going on right now. If you take a look at the conjugation of a shlamim verb, go back to unit number 1 or wherever it's introduced in the shlamim example, you'll notice with the vocalization, the words are different when you write without vowels. And so, for example, you have the last one single, lomed, lomedet, not a problem. And we try to meet a cholam there. When it comes to the infinitive, it is little mode vocalized like this. That's how the infinitive is written, with a media cholam. When you write without the vowels, that media cholam is now represented by vav. That vav, as it is to give you an O sound, little mode. She puts a vav in there. That's unvocalized Hebrew. She does not have the vav there when she gives the shlemim infinitive. She vocalizes it properly. Question: why does she put the vav all of a sudden in the infinitive? Because if she wrote the infinitive without vowels, that way it could easily be read as lil lamed. And lil lamed means to teach. Lil mod, on the other hand, means to study. Get it? Both words, to study and to teach, are written the same way without vowels. So to make a distinction, lil mod, you put a vav there, and lamed, you don't bother to put anything, we just leave it like this. When you write unvocalized Hebrew, it's hard to understand that. I understand. That's why vocalization is always required in every basic Hebrew class, anywhere. Your not at a stage where you could read your Hebrew without vowels. How much more so without vowels, you have different words read than the one word that you want. That's why I stand out. I'm the only instructor that does this. That's terribly important because you don't know where you're going to go with your Hebrew. And again, whenever you sign a contract, you make sure that everything vocalized. Very small, but otherwise you could be easily taken in. All right, Baruch, it's a little difficult there, but that's okay. The word safon is the plural of the word safa. Safa is language. It's one of the words for language. Lashon is the other. Here, let's make another distinction right there. You have two words that translate as language. One is the word lashon. Safa is the word she uses right now. Lashon is the other. Lashon is the Hebrew word also for tongue. Tongue, your tongue. And Lashon is normally restricted when you refer to the Hebrew language as Lashon HaKodesh, the language, the tongue of sanctity. Lashon HaKodesh, the language, the tongue of sanctity. But Hebrew is used as a sacred language and only used in that way. The Haredim, the extreme Orthodox, are in that mood. They will not speak secular Hebrew unless they have to. They'll speak in Yiddish, they'll speak in English, they'll speak whatever languages they know. They keep Hebrew only sacred. It's impossible in Israel today, but that's what they feel. And Safa is the regular language. If Lashon means tongue, Safa refers to lips. The lips. I guess you use your lips when you make your sounds. Ba, ma, pa. You have bilabials. Those. What's had an incident in Meir Shari. Meir Shari is a very noted, very Orthodox community in Jerusalem. Somebody spoke English to me, I said, speak to me in Hebrew. I recognized this Jew came from Brooklyn somewhere. So I said, let's speak Yiddish. And he was shocked I was able to speak Yiddish. He was not able to speak a good Yiddish. He wanted to go into English only. Leah, Levana, why don't you go on? Next one.
Okay.
Number 4.
Ma Esther Rotsot Laasot. Yeah.
Right, you wrote so what?
Laasot.
That's right.
Hen Rotsot Laasot Avodah B'Mamshala.
Okay. And he wrote Sot Lasot Avodah. They want to do work in the Memshalah. Not bad. Or he wrote Sot Avodah. They won't work in the Memshalah. Okay, the word Avodah is the word for work. The word Memshalah, we have that word before. I made a distinction between the word Medina, which is state, S-T-A-T-E, and Memshalah, which is government. That's the distinction between those two words. As you have a distinction between Lashon and Safa, there's a distinction between Medina, as in the state of Israel, Medina Israel, and the word Memshalah. In fact, let me just work on those two words. The word Medina. Get down some extra Hebrew vocabulary. One day you'll use it. How much more so Lebanon is going to make a trip to Israel in a couple of weeks now.
Actually, next week.
Next week, okay, so in her case in particular, we're honoring Levana so that she can show the authorities in Israel.
Yeah.
She's no phony baloney, she knows how to say Medina. Okay, the word Medina. Medina, watch what I'm going to do, is the absolute form of the word. Hamadina is the definite article, so the definite state of the word, Hamadina. And notice how I put the definite article, the hey with a pata, and then you add that hey to the next word, Medina, you put a dagesh chazak and a mem. And in your rules of syllabication, it would be nice if you write something like that when you give me your work in next Thursday. Is that a letter in the middle of a word has a dot and a shva. The dagesh is chazak, the shva is a shvana. Hamadina, not hamdina, hamadina. And then finally, you have the construct form of the word, which is state of. It depends upon the next word that follows, and that word becomes medinat. So the state of Israel, look at the English. State of, that O-F, is not Medina Yisrael, but Medinat Yisrael. The Patach Tav takes over the Chamatzeh. Now the other word is Memshalah. Memshalah is government. And I guess think in English now. Is there a distinction between state and government? I guess there is. All I know is that the word Memshalah is normally the term used for the secular powers of Israel. Medina, believe it or not, deals with the religious authority, though it doesn't seem that way when you call the state of Israel Medinat Yisrael. But that word din, for example, as in the phrase Beit Din, Beit Din is a religious court of law. A Dayan is a religious judge. Whereas Memshalah has the shorish of Mem Shel Lamed. Memshalah, right. And then definite article is Ha Memshalah. And then when it comes to the construct state, it's Memshelet. Memshelet. This is a very strange construct. Not Memshalat, but Memshelet. Memshelet, Memshelet. Again, you have CVC. You have CV, short vowel with syllable accented, and CVC for the last syllable. Memshelet, Memshelet. There's the other word, which is Shin Bet Tent. Mishpat. That's really a secular courts. So Memshelet has nothing to do with, the Beit Din and the Beit Mishpat. These are the court systems. Memshelet means just simply government, to rule over. The root Mem Shin Lamed means to rule, R-U-L-E, ruling over.
Mimshal? Mimshal?
It's Memshelet.
Or Mimshalet?
Yes. You would think that the word is Memshalah is not absolute, so that the construct will be Memshalat. It's not, it's Memshelet. Oh, there are always these type of exceptions. Okay, Ravana, you're doing okay so far? Why don't you take another one?
Okay. Ma'ata, Rotseh,
That's right.
La'asot. Ani,
Wait a minute, what do you want to, what's the last word, Joe?
I said it, La'asot.
Does it say last sort?
No, it does not. Wait, where am I?
I'm 5. Well, it should be 5. Ma'ata.
Wait a second, let her work on it. Yes, we're doing number 5, Ma'ata, and she said the word Rotseh, which is fine, but the infinitive is not la'asot or something like that, but the verb to drink.
What is it?
Ellie, helper,
Worship.
again?
I'm on 69.
All right, Ellie's gotta find the page right now.
No, what's the last word?
Ishtot. To drink.
Oh, well, I know it's to drink, it's super mercy. Okay, Ma'ata, Rotseh, what is it?
Ishtot.
Lishtot.
All right, what you're gonna do, Lavana, is when you go over these little exercises, look at the infinitive of the verb to drink, l'shtot. And the response is,
Ani Rotseh, Lishtot, Kafe.
that's right, I want to drink coffee. All right, people, it's a question of you going over on your own now. You have your charts, you have the verbs vocalized, learn, don't just simply talk about it. Lavana, let me have your attention, and that's how you're gonna pick this up. Okay, I'm watching the time, we gotta finish this whole unit before I dismiss you completely today, so let me not take over. All right, then she has places to go and review the following vocabulary words. The words
Page
themselves
69.
look just like words you already know from your English or Indo-European knowledge of Safo of languages. Let me just get my closure from my pen and then
Te'ateon.
all right, as I'm looking at the words are as follows. I call a theater is a teatron. A teatron. Let me say a few words with all these words. A teatron is a living theater. A teatron is the, is the high way of performing. If you go to a teatron, you're expected to show a little respect for the actors, and hopefully you had a good day not the movies, but at the theater. The teatron looks just like the word theater. Teatron, theater. Museon sounds like the word museum. Museon, museon, museon. 3 syllables. Beit is house of, cafe, house of coffee, and in English, a coffee house. That word beit is the construct of the word bayit. Bayit, habayit, and now beit. And that word beit you should be familiar with is associated with all kinds of institutions. A Beit Knesset is a house of gathering, called in English a synagogue, I guess. A Beit Midrash is a house of learning. A Beit Cafe is a coffee house, and so it goes on. A Kol Noah is a movie house, and that word movie comes from the word move. Let me teach you something I wasn't even aware of, and I'm not even sure this is accurate, but it makes sense to me. Where does movie house get the word movie? A movie is not something that's a still, it's something that moves. And when you had still films, you had flipping so quickly it looked like movement until the actual movements come about. At 1925 or 26 or 27, the latest is when you had your first talkies come about of importance. The jazz singer is the famous one, and that was back in the late 1920s. Voice that moves. Code is a voice, Noah that moves. Yeah, before there was talkies, you had movements of actors, you saw them moving around, but there was no voice, hence the Kol Noah. And opera. Do you say opera? You say opera, opera? You want to say opera, sounds like opera. But if you want to say opera, you're sounding that savory. A concert, she does not bother to put Svanach underneath the resh. You see how she has a still? She has colon, and that letter ko, that O sound should be an open syllable. It should be kol nitzert, but no one says kol nitzert. They'll blend the nun with the O, probably because the sound's better with the word concert, concert. Yeah, in fact, there's a shvanach missing underneath the resh of concert, and cafeteria. Notice that the resh there also lacks a shvanach. How come? I don't know, except to say that the vowels are handwritten, not printed. And whoever did the handwriting got too lazy or said to hell with it and began to write a little unvocalized letter there without the shvanach underneath the resh. Cafeteria. If you look at cafeteria, look at the first sego underneath the fe. What closes it? It's a short vowel open syllable. It should be accented. But it is not, because it's a borrowed word. Once a word is borrowed, the rules of Hebrew grammar somehow are suspended. And now she tells us the following sentences contain the verb go in a present tense, which she calls the present. Therefore, the sentences, by changing the verb to a verb phrase, contain the verb want. In the present tense, the verb go in the infinitive form. That's her way of saying, Ani olech leteatron, I go to the theater, and now change it to I want to go. Ani rotzeh olech leteatron. All right, as I look at the first four examples, you read what you have, the Hebrew, and then you fill in this construction. I'm going to do that reading for you, and then you take over with the English. I'm reading sentence number 2. Ani holechet levei kafeh. Watch how I read. Ani holechet levei kafeh. Ani rotza lalechet. Why do I say ani rotza? Why don't I say ani rotzeh? Because the given sentence has the ani in the feminine form. Ani holechet, so ani rotza lalechet levei kafeh. David holechlecafeteria. David rotzeh lalechetlecafeteria. That Dalet by itself can also be read as the Hebrew word dod, uncle. but I'm assuming it is a name, David. Rina holechet lishtot kafeh. Rina goes to drink coffee. Rina wants to drink coffee. Rina רוצה ללכת לשתות קפה. Or Rina רוצה לשתות קפה, she said. All right, next page.
70.
אנחנו הולכים לקולנוע. We are going to the movie house. Notice I read it, אנחנו רוצים ללכת, אנחנו הולכים לקולנוע. If I say לקולנוע, that means to the movies. If I say לקולנוע, that means to a movie. So אנחנו רוצים ללכת לקולנוע. אנחנו הולכות לאופרה. The word אנחנו now is now with the feminine. So אנחנו רוצות ללכת לאופרה. אתם הולכים למוזיאון? אתם רוצים ללכת למוזיאון. And finally, הן הולכות והן רוצות ללכת לתיאטרון. The real challenge is to vocalize those verbs. That's what you need to learn. And that's where your chart comes in, and just look at them. Okay, before you take that break that you need, I want you now to translate. Uriel, could you start it for us?
Yes.
Danny, what do you want to do?
3B 26 70.
Dani Rose La also, right?
Okay, what do you want, how do you say what do you want to do?
Rose La also.
Okay. Danny Ma'ata,
Dani Ma'ata.
it's difficult, I know.
Dani Ma'ata.
Want,
Rose.
wrote said, and now the affinitive to do.
La also.
That's it. Now you're very silent, very quiet, very polite, and that's due to your background. But in this classroom, act like Eddie Wacko. Danny Ma'ata,
That's how Israelis talk.
That's the language you talk about. That's exactly the language you raise up in Brooklyn neighborhood there. Oh, that scream that goes on. For those of you who don't know New York City, you're not going to make it. In each borough, they speak in English that will just throw you completely, and that's how they know you're a foreigner. I'm not kidding you. I was raised in the Bronx. Raised in the Bronx, people are a little more polite. You go to Brooklyn, they speak a language that's impossible. All right. All right, Uriel, try one more. I want you to go to the theater.
Ani Rose.
That's it.
La leche.
You got it, la lechet.
La leche. La teatron.
That's right, and you wrote Celebrate Teatro, not bad.
Okay.
Take the next one.
You got it.
You've got it down, at least the
You got
I
it.
You go,
want.
girl.
Go ahead, Uriel.
Guy.
I need
Go, girl.
Oh, son?
Rose. No.
Ani wrote say, yes.
Okay. Rose. Oh, that was the language. Le
Lil Mose.
mode. Cold or something.
The singular is the word safa. How would you make
Oh,
it? Make it plural.
so fat.
Safot. Okay, Ani wrote Lil Mose Safot.
Safot.
The next one can only be you that can read this, since you are the living example of I want to drink coffee. Go ahead.
So that I need rose. Les choses.
The shows,
Cafe. Yeah.
very good, sure, coffee. Hillel, take the next two. Go ahead. I want to work in Jerusalem.
I think it's okay. Ani Rotsa.
You want to go feminine on me? Okay.
No, I'm not trying to. Is it Rotse?
Well, masculine would be Rotse. Normally it's masculine unless there's an F that implies feminine. And he wrote said to work.
Okay, so Ani Rotse.
In fact, it's Donnie that's answering, so Donnie is masculine. And he wrote said,
אני רוצה לעבוד
That's it.
בירושלים.
Okay, בירושלים. בירושלים.
בירושלים.
And then finally, something you can identify with. I want to eat at home.
אני אני
The word I want, you just said it.
yeah, אני eat my having trouble.
Okay, help me with that word. Want, Baruch,
רוצה?
רוצה.
So אני רוצה
All right, that verb to eat, you gotta go back in your charts there. Baruch, how do you say to eat?
I don't know.
Okay. Hana,
לאכול.
lechol. The word is lechol. Lechol. Go back over the chart. She has the aleph havlamet, the infinitive, the chatav sego, and the aleph. The lamed is pointing with the sego. Lechol. Ani rotze lechol at home babayit. All right, one more paragraph, then we'll take a break. Hana, pick it up.
דני, מה אתה רוצה לעשות?
Okay, let's read what it says. What don't you want to do?
דני, מה אתה לא רוצה לעשות?
All right, Dani is masculine. One more time.
דני, מה אתה רוצה,
No.
לא רוצה לעשות?
Okay, I think you said it correctly now. Say it again. Dani,
דני, מה אתה לא רוצה לעשות?
okay. Notice the pronunciation of Hana. She said the yah sound, it sounds like an O. This is definitely Persian influence. She sounds like ma'ato. That's not Ashkenazic. This is the way the Persians somehow say that ah sound, etc. And thank God you got it, because 3 times, if you did not get it completely, then we will have a, you ready? A birth.
What's a bird?
You will pop out a child. Don't laugh at me, people. We have virgin births in this classroom. Whatever I say, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Okay, Donnie. What don't you want? Mata Lower Celestial. Continue, Hannah. I don't want to go to work.
אני לא רוצה ללכת בעבודה.
Good. Baruch, the next one. I don't want to study in the library.
Okay, I'll see if I can do it. Ani lo. I forget what the word for study. Study was.
Little modes.
Okay. Okay, so ani lo le mod.
What about want? Ani lo rotze.
Oh, okay, sorry. Ani lo rotze le mod be. How do you say library? Be biblioteca?
Sifriya.
Sifria.
Okay, the better way of saying it is Ani lo rotze le mod basit in the basifriya.
Pasifria.
All right, Levana, I want you to pay attention.
Hey, Mama.
I don't want to drink Coca-Cola. Levana, are you still?
למה דבר חוצפה? מה אתה רוצה?
Are the two?
שב בשקט, אני פה.
Ani, hello, what's up? Stout Coca-Cola.
Okay, I need over solid stove Coca-Cola. All right, Ellie, take the next one. I don't want to work with white people.
One second. Can I do the next one?
All right, no, let's relax.
Fine.
All right, Hillel, I don't want, people, let me finish. I don't want to work in the library.
אני רוצה
That's right, you lower it said. Now the word to work.
I just had it.
La'avod,
לעבוד. לעבוד.
okay, the word is sifriya, we had it just 2 sentences before. I don't want to work, אני לא רוצה לעבוד בספרייה. And finally, Ellie, I don't want to eat in the cafeteria.
אני לא רוצה לאכול בקפטריה.
Okay, he's got it right. אני לא רוצה לאכול בקפטריה. Now listen to me now, people. You take your 20-minute break.
Le cafeteria?
In the is ba.
Okay, bye.
Le is an egg. Ivana, let me have your attention.
Yes.
When you come back, I'm gonna probably have to select where basically she asked to translate. I want you guys to take over right now, and let's take a look and see what we have here.
Oh, page
On
70?
Page 70, the bottom of page 70.
3B27.
In which she has her own fancy schmancy English, in which I will tell you what she wants. She has, with every sentence, a different occupation. So the word rofei is found. She gives the translation, Hannah wants to be a doctor, and the Hebrew is Hannah rotzah liyot rofa'ah. Again, this is an exercise on the lamed hey verb. Know it in the conjugation, in the so-called present tense, and then you have the verb in the infinitive. Let me say something about infinitives. Infinitives, there are 2 types of infinitives. She does not talk about the absolute infinitive, say Abe Garber does. She did not talk about the hey she'lah, the hey the question, your professor did earlier today. I add my own little shtick to what she has to say, because my objective is not just simply contemporary Israeli Hebrew, but also including some biblical Hebrew insight that's important, how much more so if it deals with the Hadashot of today. All right, if it deals with the Hadashot, what exactly did you say, Professor? The word Hadashot is a new word, and at least it's new at this moment. From this moment on, you're not going to have a confusion with that word. The word Hadashot, the root of that word Hadashot is the het letter, the dal letter, the shin. I've told you multiple times, Hebrew roots will probably have 3 root letters if they are genuinely from Hebrew. If they are a borrowed word, it will be different. And 2, if you see a word that has more than 3 letters in it, don't count the vowels, just the letters, the consonants, and chances are the first letters and the last letter are additions, and the middle letters are the roots. In this case, Hadashot, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 letters. So which letter appears to be an additional? Go with the last letter. Letter number 4 seems to be the additional letter. The het, dal, and shin are 3 letters you're able to recognize from the sum of the are. Any word that has the het and dal, the shin, deals with the concept of new. N-E-W, newness. So, for example, the word Hodesh, 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 as I sound the medial vowel. Hodesh is the word for month. A month comes along, something new begins. The beginning of a month, you can hardly see the moon. By the 15th day of the month, you see a full moon. By the end of the month, the moon seems to blur again. You get it? It's the Earth's rotation, but the appearance of the moon is what's involved here. And then when you take a class with me that goes into Jewish heritage, you discover that a Jewish year is based on the months. And the months that Jews have are 13 months to the year and not 12. You have an additional month that's added 7 times in a cycle of 19 years. An additional 30, 31, or even 32 days are added. Yeah. So Yirmiyahu had to ask one day, or is going to ask when he takes his religious heritage class with me, why do you Jews have to add so many days? Because Jews have a strange calendar. It's lunar, but lunar attached to the solar. It's a lunar solar calendar. The Muslims, long way they live, have strictly a lunar calendar. That's why their Ramadan is in the summer, it's in the winter, it's in the spring, it's in the fall. It's not controlled by the season. The Jewish year is controlled by the season, which is controlled by the sun. And we don't follow the sun, we follow the moon. And all of a sudden you got 12 months in a regular year. Are you aware of the fact that there are 12 months, 6 months have 30 days, and 6 months have 29 days, in order to get rid of the 29 half-day fraction. The circulation of the earth, of the moon around the earth, is roughly 29 and a half solar days. 29 and a half. You get rid of the half day by having a month of 29 days, followed by a month of 30 days, followed by a month of 29 days, followed by a month of 30 days. In your solar year, you have what? A leap year. They take the shortest month, February 28th, and you add a leap year, a date, February 29th, every 4 years. But the solar does not depend on a lunar. Jews have a lunar that depends upon a solar. That's why you have this problem. And then the Rosh Chodesh, if you wish, is celebrated on the first day of the month. But there's a 2-day Rosh Chodesh, as Eli would tell us. And the 2-day is the 30th day of the month before, and the first day of the month that you're now celebrating. So go figure that out. Jews have a 2-day Rosh Chodesh, they have a 1-day Rosh Chodesh. And before you know it, you get a little confused. Then you got Thanksgiving. All of a sudden I don't have a Hebrew class. Everything's a holiday here. Anyway, the word Chodesh. Chodesh means month. Hadash means new. Okay, so you've got anything that has something like that, newness, beginningness, etc. And then you got the Hadashot. And ain't that a good word? It deals with news. Get it? In English, we call it new. Add an S to it, news. And the Hadashot is wacko right now. Anything and everything dealing with Jews is now headlines. The next headline, and you better be ready for it, and you don't go to sleep, is when the Prime Minister of the State of Israel, the Rosh HaMemshalah, that's the word, Memshalah, government, Bibi Netanyahu, comes to visit America. I love him to come to New York. He'll get arrested, so it is said. He ain't going to New York. He's going to a private little meeting with the Nasi Hamadinat Israel, the Nasi Atzot Abrid, the President of the United States. Netanyahu and Trump are going to meet together privately, and no reporters are going to join Netanyahu in a plane. When the Prime Minister flies, there's an area in the plane, official plane, that has reporters. No reporters this time. Barak is saying why? Because Mr. Netanyahu is going to be broken. Trump is going to tell him, you got to somehow let the Gazans live. Netanyahu's position is the Gazans can live, but Hamas cannot. I have a sneaky feeling the Hamas is not going to be broken. I'm looking now at the words here. Okay, so the words okay, I'm looking at all this stuff here. That's what you got to do. Okay, with that said, sorry again, Shulchana, why don't you read the example that's given, and then each one of us is going to fill it. Go ahead.
Yeresh Kohen,
One second, let me make sure you have it correctly.
Page 70.
Read the example that has the name of Hannah.
Hana Rosa Yod Rofea.
Okay, then read the next one, Sachan.
What? Sachan. What does mean?
Now you said.
David, Varon, Rotzin, Yod Sachan.
Okay, very good. The error that's made, I understand. Let me go over this very carefully. First of all, the word Sachan. That word Sachan, how is it spelled? She might spell it with a Shvan Nachan Nitachet, but my feeling is that that word that's given in the vocabulary can also be spelled as Sachakan. In other words, what you have here is a good example, and notice how I'm writing the word. I put a dot after this marker here. If this were truly a shin, I won't bother to make a shin marker. If it's a sin, I purposely put the dot. That dot in that superposition looks like the Media Cholam. So Yirmiyahu, you're right in making that association. However, if you notice there's a patach underneath that letter, so I'm assuming that's not the Media Cholam, because no letter can have two vowels attached to the same letter at the same time. That's the sign of the sin. And the way in which I would write Sachan is a CVC. The sin has a patach under it, watch what I'm saying, closed by the shvanach on the next letter, based on the principle, a shvan, the letter that follows a short vowel, is a silent shvan. Second syllable is CVC, and now you say to yourself, should that not be a short kamatz? After all, a kamatz, a closed syllable, has the temptation of being a short kamatz katan, a short kamatz. However, if that syllable is accented, then it's a medium kamatz. If this were not an accented syllable, then indeed it is a short kamatz. A short kamatz is only in a closed syllable, unaccented, as in the word chokhmah, as in the word wisdom, chokhmah. The accent is here. This syllable, CVC closed, kamatz, it's a short kamatz. Chokhmah, chokhmah, not chachmah, chokhmah. Now the word sakan, what I want to do is not play with my head a little bit. I want to see Edna Coffin's vocabulary, and let me double check how she gives us the word sakan. Why don't you all, with your textbook in front of you, go back a few pages and see what you see on page 56, 57. Where is that word sakan? On page 57, the third word from the bottom, she writes sahakan. She writes sahakan, sahakan, with a chata pata and the head. She does not spell it the way Zevi Garber wrote it on the board, sahkan. Are you all watching me now? Look at page 57, third word from the bottom, the word between cafeteria and the word te. Cafeteria T is the word for actor and actress, and she spells a chata pata underneath the head and does not have the shvanach underneath the head. What's going on here?
Shouldn't the svana be notated by the ain letter? When you have a svana, it's the ain letter that you use to notate it in the syllabication.
1 second. Let me just write this word down. I have sahkan. She writes it as sahakan, chata pata. Let's write it better over here. And watch what I'm about to do. I'm not sure what your question is yet. When you have it as sahakan, this is how you vocalize it, syllabicate it. The sin has a patach. The patach is a short vowel. There's no dagesh chazak in the original letter, and there's no shvanach underneath that original letter. This syllable is short vowel open and therefore should be accented, but it's not. If it were, she would put an accent mark there. She leaves the accent mark over here, meaning the accent in Hebrew is the last syllable unless told otherwise. Now what is the problem with this? When you see the word sahakan, you assume the word is accented on the second syllable. The second syllable, Baruch, is a consonant het. The chata patach is treated like a shvanah. So you put the consonant, the ayin letter stands for shvanah. Whether it's a chataf or whether it is the shvanah as it normally appears with the with the two dots. So it's C-ayin, CVC. A kamatz accented is medium kamatz. It's not a short kamatz. What about the irregularity? And that's where the knowledge of the so-called secondary opening comes about. As I told you multiple times already, the word should be sahkan, but somehow in the pronunciation of the word sahkan back in the day, the people would say sahkan, 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 and had a secondary opening. The shvanach became the sound of a chatapatach, sahakan. Or you could say the patach is potentially closed. Skurabakor is closed potentially. Sahkan. Sahakan. That's how it's reasoned out. So it's irregular, but it's potentially closed or secondary opening has occurred. I'd like you to write something about that when you write up your notes. And I've seen several examples of it, including this one right now. How do you say that word? Say sahakan if you want, or say sahakan. Israelis will say sahakan. Ezra Kaufman does not tell you that. She writes in Hebrew, Israeli influence. I do not go that far. I will make a distinction for us to know what the difference is. so it is. So in the case of Sakakan or Sakhan, the word is now in the plural. And Hana, the problem you had is that first word, the Dalid and the final nun. That's meant to be a final nun, Dan. Not the name David, not David, but Dan. Admittedly, that looks like a final half. But it's the letter nun. Dan Viron. Dan Viron.
Veron.
And then the word Viv, that Viv should be pronounced as Va. Because the Va before a word pronounced on the first syllable should be a kamatz. But not necessarily, so it's either or. So that's what I see here. Dan Viron, or if you want to say Dan Varon, either one would be fine by me. So if it's plural, how would you say they want to be actors? Go ahead. Repeat the sentence again, Hannah.
Dan, Veron, Rosin, Ligyot, Sachar.
That's right. And the infinitive word liot stays the same, whether the subject is singular, plural, male or female. Please remember that. The infinitive of any verb is always the same word, no matter what the subject is. All right, the next one. Go, Baruch, the word pakid.
Okay,
We're
so
looking on page 71 on top. Go ahead.
subject is okay. Okay, Gavor Kohen Pakid.
Wait a minute. A very Kohen wants to be a doctor, wants to be an inspector. That's what you have to do.
Oh, okay. Gavora Kohen. I don't know how to say want.
Rotzeh is the masculine singular. How
Oh.
would you say it feminine?
Rotza.
That's right.
Gavor Kohen Rotza Pakida.
What about to be?
I don't know.
Liot.
Yeah.
Okay, Baruch's got to work on this a little bit. Gever Kohen, Rotza, Liot, Liot. How do you say pakid in the feminine? Is it pakid?
Pakida.
Okay, all right, let's stop it right here. All right, people, this class is going to be very slow right now. I don't mind doing that, that's okay. The word pakid, listen to the language I've taught you so far and continue next semester. Pakid has two syllables. CV is the first one, CBC is the second. You all see that? That pay is a bigger gift a little bit, because the word is always close, that's the dagesh kal. And when you syllabicate a word, you indicate that dot is a dagesh kal. When you syllabicate a word, you indicate that kamatz is a medium kamatz, not a short kamatz. Or a short kamatz, it cannot be part of an open syllable unless it's accented. But the accent needs to be on the word key because it's a long vowel close. A long vowel close syllable cannot be regular unless it is accented. And now I add the plural, the feminine. The feminine is a kamatse. Now watch the syllables. I have three syllables. The pa, the ki, and the da. The pa, the kamatse is two places. 1, 2, 2 places, or you want to count it this way, 1, 2 places removed from the accent. It reduces to a shvana. The kamatz is either accented or one place removed, but being 2 places, it reduces to a shvana. That's why pakid, as a feminine singular, is not pakida, but pikida, pikida. The kamatz reduces to a shvana. It's pikidim. It's pikidot. All 3 forms, I've added another syllable, so the kamatz I need to pay reduces to shvana. Anyway, the word pakid is an inspector. And if you want to know the noun, pikida. Pikida itself is not just simply a feminine word for an inspector. Pikida can be an inspection. The noun, inspection, inspection. All right, having said all of that, so let's take a look more at these words. The word geveret, that's a word you mispronounced. The word is gever is masculine singular, and geveret is feminine. Geveret translates as miss or Mrs., married woman or unmarried. And again, keep in mind what you got here. You got a gimel, a bet, and a rish. Vocalize it as gever. That's a male word for man, I guess. have Geveret and Segotav, that's feminine. Words ending with Kamatse, Kirgitav, Shotav, Segotav are feminine single words. And the word Geveret, look at it, has what? 2 segos, doesn't it? And so the sego, and short vowel open syllable, accented. Geveret. We might also say it's a singular noun. But the singular nouns I taught you deal with masculine singulars, not with feminine. The plural of this word is givarot, by the way. Givarot. And then one other additional comment. The gimel, the bet, the resh. That same 3 letters spells out the word gibor. The word for hero, strong guy, Samson, Shimshon HaGibor. Yeah, of all the members of the Hebrew Bible, the one guy we need to come back today to take care of the oral opinion about the state of Israel is a man by the name of Shimshon. And what you characters don't even know is that Shimshon was not born in some Haredi neighborhood. Shimshon does not come from the Hasidic neighborhoods of I don't know where. The origin of Shimshon is the word Shemesh. Shemesh, Shin, Mem, Shin. The Hebrew word for
Candle.
sun.
Also.
What are you trying to say? I ain't saying nothing. It's just that there's something very peculiar about the name Samson. Or should I borrow to you? I already told you about the Maccabees. The story of Samson, who knows what the hell his origins are. It's just that he's so strong. But I like that word Gibor. I like the word Geveret and the word Gever. My men and women in this classroom, do you realize you have the root of the word strength, heroism? Act on it. And don't be kind of weird and weedy. I can't do this, I can't do that. You can do it. The last lesson we had, if you so will it, Levana, it can be done. Boy, he said, Barbara, have you changed since you were a child? As a child, I was so weak. Nobody can just do that to me. But then look at how God goes. People, one day, the chapters that are not known will be known about Zev. You'll see it with the magazine. Menachem Begin doesn't just come to any place and talk to me privately. I was trained by Mossad when I began at College. I'll tell you that story next semester. All right,
You lived a pretty decadent and intellectual life.
I was sent to Russia. What am I going to do in Russia?
Speak Yiddish.
Yeah, I spent 3 weeks there. All right, Lavana, I want to finish this. Let me at least finish this. Then I got to tell you about your exercises. Okay, the word pakid. Okay, that word geveret, Baruch, is a word you've got to know. Anytime you want to get a woman's attention, geveret.
No,
That's how you
Professor,
pronounce
in Israel it's Alo Giveret.
Yeah, that's true. That's miss, or that Geveret is
No, you
miss?
say that to when you want to call over a woman. You're very disrespectful about it.
What about Bolepo? Bolepo, yalla.
Bolepo doesn't exist.
That's why they turned it to
They're
be.
all rude.
No, because it's
Give me
Bolepo.
all the grateful that you say
I
the
used to see
church.
this girl go to synagogue every Shabbos at 11 and go argue with her
This is
husband.
America.
Excuse me, gentlemen.
No, this is in Israel. And she was taming, she told the Moroccan guys, Bolepo.
Yeah,
And then they
because
start
it's
fighting.
Israeli from Israel.
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you. They have no respect.
Anna is probably saying, do you have to reveal the false? Ashkenazim aren't Israel.
It's on top of your head.
All right.
Keep it like wash.
No, the barbecue is like that. Okay, look, people, I really want to get you out of here. And I want to at least finish this and say what you should be doing. Okay, so at least we got the word Geveret. All right, the word Talmid. Lavana, if you can do it for us, do it.
Yeah, 1 second. Don,
Don wants to be a student.
Wait,
in
one
this.
second, my pages are all mixed up, one second. Okay, Don רוצה לחיות תמיד.
That's it. And lead to the next one, Moreh.
Do the next
The next one.
Oh,
more.
מורה, רות ואביבה, it looks like a relation. רות ואביבה רוצות להיות מורה. Can't speak. מורות.
Moreh, okay.
I can't speak.
Okay. Ellie, all right, Ellie, wait a minute. Ellie's got it right. First of all, you have two women, let's put it that way, is the subject, Ruth and Aviva. Aviva is spelled with a chata patra underneath the aleph. You would not know that, but Ellie read it correctly. The va will be pointed with the sound of the r, so it's va Aviva, not ve Aviva. You read that correctly. Ruth va Aviva wrote sot, the feminine plural, liot, the definitive stays always the same, and then the word moreh, morot, you go with morot since there are two women here. Okay, the word kupai. All right, y'all try that word kupai. Kupai is a cashier.
So is it Ruth and Aviva?
No, we did that one, the next one.
Uri.
Uri Rose?
That's
Okay,
right.
Uri Rose. Kupai, isn't it?
To be, first of all, the word to be. Uri wrote said,
To be, Leleot?
Yeah.
Leleot, okay.
Lavona, please.
Uri Rose Leleot, Cope?
Kupai.
Kupai.
Okay, it's hard to word. Uri wants to be a cashier. Okay, Hillel, back with you right now. The word is sahkan.
שחקן,
All right, first of all, the name Miriam.
מרים, שחקן, איזה?
Wants to be Rotsa.
Okay, so Miriam רוצה
Now to be,
to go
we're working from memory. Liyot.
Leleot.
And now the word actress.
oh my god, להיות, just give it,
Okay, sachakanit.
שחקנית.
Okay, do you understand how to do it? Miriam is feminine, Rotsa is feminine, Liot stays the same as infinitive, and Sachkan is Sachkanit. All right, finish it up now. Back to you now, Hannah.
גליה ורות להיות, רוצים להיות סטודנטים.
No, Galia is feminine and Ruth is feminine. Try it again.
רוצות להיות
Studentim, studentiot.
סטודנטיות.
Okay, so the official way of saying it is Galia, Ruth wrote Sot, Liot, student, studentit, studentiot, studentiot is the feminine plural. And sof, marot, the word rofe. Atem,
אתם לראות רוצים.
Rosim.
Is that it?
Yeah, you got Atem Rosim, now to be.
אתם רוצים להיות is
That's
to be.
right.
להיות. And then אתם is male or female?
I think it's masculine.
Okay.
It's
אתם רופאים. אתם רוצים לראות רופאים.
Okay. You got it more or less, but just spell it. Atem Rosim Liot Rofim. All right, there, people. We're going to finish the unit, but I guess we got carried away a little bit. Let me tell you what the other assignment is. I want you to go over to unit number 1. And as you look at unit number 1, you all have a book in front of you, and you all pay attention. You got your vocabulary? I'm not interested in that now. What I am interested in is the following. You see the exercise found on page 43. I want you to translate in Hebrew dialogue A. What you do is you'll have page 1, dialogue A, unit 1, you'll translate the English to Hebrew.
Page 43, down.
On page 44, I want you to translate the English to Hebrew. So what you're gonna do from unit number 1, where you have exercises to translate from English to Hebrew, indicate the page and do the translation, not in English, but from English to Hebrew. I'm going
Professor?
further, just pay attention now. You've got those 2 pages. I'm now going all the way over to the next page I want you to look at. So far, we have nothing more than that. Then you have on page 52, the translation from English to Hebrew, those 18 sentences, 52 to 53.
What number is that? 3.
All right.
To English?
Here we are, are you with me? From English to Hebrew, found on the bottom of page 52, 3 sentences, and it continues on to page 52 rather, continues on to page 53. I don't want the Hebrew to English, I want the English into Hebrew. And that continues now on page 55, you have English into Hebrew. So you got a number of pages in unit 1, translate the English into Hebrew. We're now looking at unit number 2. Unit number 2, you've got your translation of paragraphs, and da. Keep on going further. Don't have much of translations to do here, it seems, but I want you to play around with the words. Let me see how I'm gonna do this with you. All right, there's not much I can do with the verbs except to have you do the following. In fact, it'll be a challenge, but it'll be a good one for you. All right, as I give you the pages, I'm looking at page 70, the English to Hebrew.
So it's 3B, 2, 6.
In fact, what you're going to do is this. You'll do page 70, English to Hebrew, and you'll also do, I want to be a doctor type of thing. You'll fill in the Hebrew there as well.
What page is that?
So that's exercise 3B26 and 3B27, page 70. It continues on to page 71.
So all of page 70 and page 71, basically.
Not everything here, just simply exercise, again, 3B26, the review of the infinitive, and 3B27, what do you want to be?
Okay.
Ravona and Ellie, please pay attention. I'm looking at page 73, you do the English to Hebrew. Exercise number 5.
3, English to
And then you're gonna do something that we haven't done.
Page 73, that would be, okay, English to...
73 is English to Hebrew.
73, English to Hebrew.
Number 5, review exercise.
And then finally, what you can do for me is this one here. I'm looking at page 74. It says the following. Read the conversation below. The bottom paragraph, page 74, and then the instruction is write a short passage about David and Rena and their friend Rose. You'll read the Hebrew, you'll understand what it says, and then you will write a little short sentence or two, few sentences about David and Ron that comes forth from this conversation. It means understanding what you're reading and then using your own little sentence and putting together the conversation.
74.
It's hard when you first hear me say it. It'll become easy when you don't begin to do it. You'll fall into it. It's a lot of work, it appears. Do an exercise every day, and you'll be finished before you know it. All right, dear people, let me just say goodbye to everybody. Hope to see everybody hopefully next semester.
See you on Thursday.
With your other exams, whatever, and be in touch. I have my email. I'll be in touch with you with some mailings I'll send you. If you have any questions, get to me by email. And have a Shabbat Shalom and be well.
Shabbat Shalom.